Today, Apple operates at a scale that resembles a global religion, boasting a market capitalization of over $2 trillion. But in the mid-1970s, the computing landscape looked completely different. Machines like the Altair 8800 required customers to assemble them by hand, resulting in a box of switches and lights that couldn't actually do much for the average person. Steve Jobs recognized this gap as a massive commercial opportunity. He partnered with Steve Wozniak, who had the precise engineering knowledge required to condense a room-sized machine into something a consumer could actually use. To fund their new company, Jobs sold his Volkswagen and Wozniak sold his HP calculator. In contrast, their third partner, Ronald Wayne, sold his 10% stake almost immediately for just $800, missing out on what would become a multi-trillion-dollar valuation. The initial gamble paid off. By 1977, the release of the Apple II, which included its own monitor and keyboard, proved that selling computers to everyday people was a highly lucrative industry that quickly made its founders millionaires. As the company grew, Jobs insisted the future of computing relied on a graphical user interface, a system where users click visual icons on a screen instead of typing complex text commands. He applied this concept to the Apple Lisa in 1983. However, its exceptionally high price tag and a severe lack of available software applications made it a complete commercial failure. The Macintosh 128K arrived a year later. It generated significant initial excitement, but soon suffered the exact same fate as the Lisa, hampered by slow processing speeds and severe software limitations. These consecutive failures triggered an internal corporate civil war. Wozniak departed the company, and Jobs found himself in a fierce power struggle with John Sculley, an executive brought in from PepsiCo to stabilize the business. Pushing for ideal product design while ignoring commercial realities forced the board to make a choice. By 1985, they sided with Sculley, removing the visionary founder from the company he created. Jobs didn't quit the industry. He took a core group of loyal employees and founded Next, a new venture dedicated to building an advanced operating system. Without its founder, Apple rapidly lost market share. By 1997, cash reserves were nearly empty, nearing bankruptcy. In a last-ditch effort, Apple bought Next. This single acquisition absorbed their operating system and brought Steve Jobs back as CEO. He immediately streamlined the product lines and introduced the translucent iMac in 1998, moving over 800,000 units in just 5 months. The decision to buy Next provided the underlying software architecture for future devices and completely reorganized corporate strategy, effectively pulling the company out of a fatal dive. Back in control, Jobs looked past the basic computer market. He realized the technology could be miniaturized to dominate personal entertainment and digital media. This strategy materialized in 2 steps. The portable iPod hardware launched in 2001, followed closely by the iTunes digital storefront in 2003, allowing users to buy music directly on their computers and sync it seamlessly. Then came 2007. By placing a music player, an internet communicator, and a phone into a single device, they launched the iPhone, securing the most profitable revenue stream in corporate history. They maintained this momentum in 2010 with the iPad, providing consumers a lightweight, touch-based tablet capable of handling tasks that previously required sitting at a desk. A decade of back-to-back hardware hits, connected by a unified software ecosystem, turned a struggling computer manufacturer into a globally dominant digital brand. Amidst this rapid growth, Jobs received a pancreatic cancer diagnosis in 2003, and he passed away in 2011. Tech critics and financial analysts openly questioned the company's survival. The prevailing consensus suggested that without its central visionary, product innovation would stall, leading to inevitable decline. Tim Cook took the CEO position. Unlike Jobs, Cook was not a product designer. He was an executive operator and supply chain expert who had quietly managed the company's logistics since 2009. Cook maintained the established product cycles while expanding into wearables with the release of the Apple Watch in 2015. Under his strict operational management, the company's valuation climbed to over $2 trillion. Apple avoided collapse because it outgrew the need for a single genius at the top. By establishing an interlocking hardware ecosystem and an ironclad corporate culture, It evolved from a risky garage project into a machine capable of sustaining itself.